The Johnstone Supply Company Cafferty Group, with offices in Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, and Colorado, presents Goodman Side Discharge Installation and Commissioning Technical Training Module, TRV 8, Part 4. Air Handler Installation and Coil Removal. The AHVE air handler may be installed in an upflow, downflow, horizontal left, or horizontal right orientation. Please note that the air handler is factory ready for upflow and horizontal left installations. AHVE installation. For upflow orientation, no field modifications are necessary. However, to obtain maximum efficiency, the horizontal drip shield, side drain pan, and drain pan extension can be removed. For horizontal left orientation, no field modifications are necessary for this application. For downflow and horizontal right orientation, in the downflow position, to prevent the coil pan from sweating or condensating, the mandatory downflow kit DFK is available at your local Johnstone Supply Cafferty Group office. To remove the coil, first remove the wire ties holding the EEB, pressure transducer, and sensor wire harness to the center support before removing the coil. Next, carefully remove the insulation that covers the wires and connectors. Do not cut or damage this insulation because it will be reused to secure the wires once the coil is replaced. Carefully disconnect the wires. Next, slide the coil assembly out using the bottom drain pan to pull the assembly from the cabinet. Then, reconnect the sensor wires and replace the insulation, securing it with wire ties. Then, secure the wire harness to the corner post using the screw mount wire ties that are provided. Please note, for flipping the coil, the drain pan extension must be removed for all models except for the AHVE 60 DP14. The center support should not be removed while removing the drain pan. The side drain pan can be removed for downflow applications. It cannot be removed for horizontal right installation. The drain pan extension when installing the air handler in a horizontal orientation. When installing in a horizontal left orientation, the drain pan extension may stay on the pan. When installing in a horizontal right orientation, the drain pan extension must be removed. Wire tie location to be removed when rotating the coil. Detail A shows the positions of where the wire ties must be removed from the insulation over the junction and sensor wires. Detail B shows where the wire ties must be removed from the support brackets. Remove the cabinet doors and cut the wire ties at the center support. Then carefully pull the coil halfway out and locate the wiring harness. Then cut the wire ties and peel back the tape and carefully separate the insulation. Then remove the insulation, disconnect the plugs and remove the coil. Then match the slots on the drain pan to the rails. Reattach, insulate, and secure the wiring harness. Reapplying the wire ties after the coil is relocated. First, insert the junction connectors into the insulation. Then, connect the junction connectors and slide the insulation over it. Secure the insulation on the junction connectors using 2 wire ties. Then, secure the insulated connectors to the corner using 2 screws and the mounting wire ties provided. And bundle the excess wire and secure it to the corner posts using the screw mount wire ties. Electrical and control wiring. Routing of electrical wires must be made through the electrical knockouts provided on this air handler. When removing the electrical knockouts, be careful not to damage the circuit board. Do not cut, puncture, or alter the AHBE cabinet for electrical wiring. Knockouts on the cabinet sides are used for electrical conduit. If the diameter of the conduit is different than the knockout, an adapter ring must be used in order to meet UL 1995 safety standards. Maximum overcurrent protection. Every installation must include an overcurrent protection device that is NEC in America and CEC in Canada approved. Check the local and state codes for any special regional requirements. Protection can be used in the form of a fuse or HACR-style circuit breakers. The data tag on the unit will provide the maximum overcurrent protection device that is permissible. Fuses and circuit breakers should be sized larger than the equipment minimum circuit ampacity, but do not exceed the maximum overcurrent protection. This information can also be found on the unit data tag. For high voltage wiring, the power supply will be connected to the stripped red and black wires in the air handler electrical compartment. Ground lug is in the upper right-hand corner of the electrical compartment. For low voltage connections, route the wires through the low voltage port and terminate to match the wiring diagram. It is strongly recommended that you do not connect multiple wires to a single terminal without physically twisting them together with a pair of pliers. Minimum 18 gauge wire is required. If low voltage requirements are not met, check or eliminate wiring connections. Replace the wiring. 18 gauge stranded is recommended, particularly on the communication circuit. The red and common can be solid core since it's only carrying 24 volts AC. AHBE ECM motor orientation. If the indoor unit is installed in a downflow position, loosen the motor mounts and rotate the motor as shown below. Make sure that the motor is oriented so the connections are facing downward. Wiring diagram and plug identification. Here is an AHBE wiring diagram. This can be found in the installation instructions or service manual. Plugs are the same on all AHBE models. X1A, heater output kit. X2A, shared data port. X3A, indoor EEV coil. X5A, heat exchanger thermistor. X7A, indoor circulation blower. X8A, thermostat input. X12A, flash writer. X13A, RAM monitor. X15A, pressure sensor. F1U is a fuse to 3 amp for the control voltage. F2U is a 3.15 amp for the EEV. TB1 and TB2 are the 24 volt input via TR1 transformer for the EEV. TB3 and TB10 are 24 volt input for the transformer TR2. TB4, TB5 are auxiliary alarm connections. TB6, TB8 are auxiliary contacts for humidifier, etc. TB7, common ground for the board. DS1, DS2 are not used. DS3, emergency mode for heater kit selection. DS4, emergency mode for indoor blower speed. DS5, emergency mode for EEV operation. DS6, emergency mode for continuous airflow in both heating and cooling modes. dip switches. Here's an image of the AHBE control board. This shows the placement of the dip switches. This slide explains the control board dip switch operation for the AHBE air handler. It also shows the factory settings for the dip switches. The main dip switches that will need to be field adjusted would be DS3 for your heater kit selection, and DS6 to set the speed of the unit in emergency mode heating and cooling. Here is the layout diagram showing the factory dip switch settings. Refer to the installation manual if you need to make changes. The onboard auxiliary alarm switch function. Primarily this is used for condensate switch input. The auxiliary alarm switch must be normally closed. The normally closed condensate switch opens when the water level in the evaporator coil gets too high. The control will respond by turning off the indoor blower, the outdoor unit, and display the proper fault code, EEF. If the auxiliary alarm switch is detected closed for 30 seconds, normal operation resumes and the error message is no longer displayed. Heater kits. Here's an example of the heater kit nomenclature. The specification sheet lists the heater kit nomenclature for all AHBE models. They are available with or without a factory installed circuit breaker. Heater kit installation with no circuit breaker. First, remove the upper access panel from the air handler. Remove and keep the 4 screws securing the cover plate. Remove and discard the cover plate. Remove the factory installed multi-pin plug with black and red pigtail wires. Slide the electric heater kit into the opening of the air handler, making sure that the direction of the arrow decal is pointing in the correct direction. Secure the heater faceplate using the 4 screws from step 2. Connect the multi-pin plug and ensure that the wire colors match. Connect 2 high voltage wires and 1 ground wire. Secure the upper access panel. Place the new heater kit sticker on the side near the AHBE wiring diagram. There are multiple options on the diagram sticker that will be shipped with the heater kit. Put an X on the wiring diagram according to the number of heater kit element rows installed and cross out the remaining diagrams. Mark an X on the data sticker located on the outer panel of the air handler to indicate the heater kit model that is installed. Heater kit installation with the factory installed circuit breaker. Remove the 2 screws that connect the circuit breaker panel to the heater kit. Remove and keep the 4 screws securing the cover plate. Remove and discard the cover plate. Remove the factory installed multi-pin plug with black and red pigtailed wires. Slide the electric heater kit into the opening of the air handler, making sure that the direction of the arrows is pointing in the correct direction. Secure the heater faceplate using the 4 screws that you kept from step 2. Secure the circuit breaker plate to the left side of the electrical panel with the 2 screws included in the heater kit packaging into pre-drilled factory holes. Connect the multi-pin plug and ensure that the colors match. Connect the 2 high voltage wires and the 1 ground wire. Secure the upper access panel. Place the heater kit sticker on the inside panel near the AHBE wiring diagram. Mark an X on the wiring diagram according to the number of the heater kit element rows installed and cross out the remaining diagrams. Mark an X on the data sticker on the outer panel of the air handler to indicate the heater kit model that was installed. Access the circuit breaker. Cut the insulation behind the cutout and replace the cover panels on the AHVE. Thank you for joining us for the Goodman Side Discharge Install and Commissioning Technical Training Module TRV-8. If you have any questions or need more information, please contact your local Johnstone Supply Company Cafferty Group office.